Welcome back to the channel. In today's dream diary, the cost of being famous is another person's fear, in a cold case that was discovered 30 years later in a small town. Some psychopath is trying to become TikTok famous at the expense of my daughter. The world of TikTok, Snapchat, and other emerging social media platforms, which my 11-year-old daughter watches, has always seemed childish to me and didn't catch my interest. However, when online news media outlets like Yahoo and MSN started deriving stories from TikTok, I thought, why not give TikTok a try? I was pleasantly surprised by the diverse range of topics on TikTok, from cats to military posts to true crime videos. Some posts on TikTok do seem childish, but the platform eventually filtered them out, focusing on the things a 38-year-old guy like me enjoys, such as true crime mysteries. I love watching videos about people who have mysteriously vanished or grainy footage of unknown suspects who have never been caught. So, given that my daughter just left for a weekend retreat at a Girl Scout camp a few hours ago, I decided to indulge in TikTok. The old Girl Scout leader, Macy, was diagnosed with cancer and had to step down, but thankfully, another mother volunteered to take over as the new leader. With my now separated wife, Sheila, who is still trying to find herself, I'm just relieved that my daughter, Grace, has something to do this weekend rather than moping around the house feeling depressed. The new leader, Carol, kindly picked up Grace, along with her own daughter, Raquel, and another girl named Amanda, and drove them to a campground in the Poconos. Carol assured me of her years of involvement with the Girl Scouts, so I decided to relax this weekend. I started swiping through TikTok videos, mostly crime-related posts I had already seen, so I expanded beyond the people I was following to see what was new on TikTok. A post caught my attention because it was titled Girl Scout Tragic Camping Trip and was posted by @Serial Killer Blossoms. I hesitated to watch it, not wanting to get paranoid or draw parallels to Grace's current trip. But curiosity got the better of me. I clicked on part 1 of the video, posted 5 days ago, which showed the exterior of a small yellow unmarked school bus. The creator then showed the bus's interior, which looked typical with about 6 rows of seats. The camera focused on various video cameras installed throughout the bus. I wasn't sure of the intent of this part 1 video. I didn't know if this bus was part of a crime from the past or just some converted recreational RV. My interest was waning, but I decided to click on part 2 anyway. This time, the bus was moving, and I could make out kids at the back. The camera was by the driver, and I couldn't see much more than 3 kids sitting on the bus. Then, with just a few seconds left in the TikTok post, a different camera angle appeared. As I sat on my living room couch, I started to make out the faces of the kids. They seemed to be middle school-aged girls, and something inside me urged me to check when the video was posted, which was 3 hours ago. When I see girls around my daughter's age, I usually feel empathy because whatever happens in these TikTok posts won't be good, and I never want anything bad to happen to my daughter or anyone else's kids. But this time, my brain couldn't shake the feeling that one of the girls looked exactly like Grace, though I didn't want to believe it. So, I played part 2 again. Unfortunately, I couldn't fast forward the video, so I had to wait again for the last few seconds. As I waited, my mind raced with what-if scenarios. Most importantly, what if that girl is actually my daughter? As the video neared its end and zoomed in on the girls, my worst fear was confirmed as I took a screenshot of the video. My daughter had left wearing a Niagara Falls souvenir sweatshirt she had bought a few months ago. Also, the 2 other girls resembled Amanda and Raquel. My thoughts instantly turned to why my daughter was on a bus and not in Carol's car. And why was someone videotaping the girls? I quickly clicked on part 3 of the video series, posted 2 hours ago. This video showed the 3 girls still on the bus, with the other 2 girls sitting on the aisle ends of the back seats and my daughter sitting right in front of them. I could tell right away from my daughter's facial expression that something wasn't right. Grace wasn't crying, but she looked confused and scared, while Raquel and Amanda had the same frightened look. I started to panic as I reached for my phone and tried to call Carol. "I'm sorry, the phone number you're trying to reach is no longer in service. Goodbye." "What the hell?" I exclaimed, confused. Then, I tried calling Grace's phone, which went straight to voicemail. I fell deeper into this nightmare as I frantically tried to find Amanda's mother's phone number. Grace's mother, Sheila, used to handle all the Girl Scout issues, so I was limited in contact information. Luckily, I accessed Sheila's email account, searched for Girl Scout names and numbers, and found Amanda's mother, Joy's, phone number. I quickly dialed it. "Hello, Joy. Listen, this is Grace's father, Ted. Are you aware of Carol taking the girls on a little yellow bus to the camping trip?" "No, Carol picked up Amanda in a blue Mercury Sable." "Why do you think they're on a bus?" "Listen, are you on your cell phone right now?" "Yes. I'm going to send you a TikTok video. Please watch it and call me right back." "Sure, send the video." As I sent the video, I didn't know what my next step should be, but calling 911 was definitely on the horizon. Within a couple of minutes, Joy called back. "Ted, what's going on? Why is someone filming our daughters?" Joy asked, her voice frantic. "I have no idea, but I don't have a good feeling about this. Did you try calling your sister, Carol?" "My sister? She's not my sister. She's Raquel's mother. Ted, that woman Carol told me she's your sister when I met her before the camping trip." "Well, she told me she's Raquel's mother." "Oh my God. That woman isn't Raquel's mother," Joy said, her tone perplexed. "Oh God. Who is this psychopath?" "You know Grace's mother, Sheila, used to attend all the Girl Scout meetings, so I'm not familiar with all the parents. What do we do?" "I'm going to call the police," I said. "Okay, and I'll call Raquel's mother." I had never called 911 before, and I was already nervous, so dialing 911 made me even more anxious. "911, what's your emergency?" "My daughter went on a Girl Scout camping trip with 2 other girls and a woman named Carol, who seems to have lied about her identity." "Okay, so what's the emergency?" "I came across a TikTok video of someone posting the 3 girls on a little yellow bus, not the blue Mercury Sable that Carol picked them up in." "Okay, so what are the girls' ages, and what are they doing in the TikTok posts?" "They're around 11 years old, and they all look nervous and scared." "Okay, could they just be nervous about being away from home?" "I suppose, but this woman Carol lied to me and said she was one of the girls' mothers, but she's not. She told another mother she's my sister, which is obviously untrue." "Okay, sir, I'm sending an officer over to your house because there are kids involved, but we're having a busy night with a lot going on, so it might take a while for the police to arrive." "Wait. What? Why?" I responded. "Sir, you haven't mentioned anything that suggests your daughter or the other girls are being harmed, so we have to prioritize our officers. Listen, I didn't give that woman permission to videotape my kid, and I'm certain these girls have been kidnapped. I have no idea where they're going," I said, my tone rising with anger. "Well, sir, I have a daughter in the Girl Scouts, and I know from personal experience that sometimes things get lost in translation when leaders are dealing with multiple parents. So, I wouldn't rush to judgment. All you have is your daughter on a TikTok video, sitting on a bus going on a Girl Scout camping trip, where she might understandably be nervous. Listen, my address is 664, Mockingbird Lane. Hurry up and send someone over," I demanded angrily before hanging up. The video cameras on the bus are positioned so the viewers can't see the bus's surroundings, so I don't even know if they're heading to the Poconos. It's almost dark outside now, which worries me even more. It's a sinking feeling, knowing that my daughter might be in danger. I checked if part 4 had been posted, and it had, so I clicked on it. Again, the girls were being videotaped as they just sat on the bus. The unnerving thing was that none of the girls were talking to each other. They all looked completely petrified, just staring straight ahead. The girls reminded me of war videos I've watched of D-Day, where soldiers had that same doomed look while sitting in transport boats, waiting to storm the heavily entrenched beaches. The video was posted less than an hour ago, and it's darker than the others, so I could tell it was filmed about an hour ago. My phone started ringing, and it was Joy. Hi Ted, did you hear back from the police? Yes, they're on their way, but they're telling me they're busy, so it might be a while. Well, I called Raquel's real mother, and she said she was asked by Carol to pick up a birthday cake for one of the other Girl Scouts. So, she had to pick up the cake at the last minute and asked the other woman to pick up Raquel, but Raquel's mother is now really freaked out, and she's on her way to your house. Wow! This situation is getting really crazy, I said in disbelief. We hung up as I waited for Raquel's mother and the police to arrive. I tried to track Carol's iPhone, but it's off. I only agreed to let Carol take Grace because she knew about my complicated situation with Sheila and seemed to have everything under control. I figured a weekend camping trip would be a nice escape for my daughter. My thoughts were interrupted when part 5 was posted by @SerialKillerBlossoms. This video started with the same camera angle as before, with all 3 girls staring ahead in silence. However, it then cut to the front of the bus, revealing an old woman with stringy gray hair, slightly hunched over, driving the bus. I could hear a little voice in the background saying, "Mommy, I want to go home." The video then abruptly ended, and I quickly dialed 911 again. 911, what's your emergency? Hi, it's me again. I saw a new TikTok post with a voice in the background saying, "Mommy, I want to go home. I'm telling you that something is really wrong. Sir, I told you that an officer is on the way. Well, please hurry up." I begged, fearing the worst. My phone started ringing again, and it was Raquel's mother, who was already at my front door with Joy. We immediately shared our concerns, and they both agreed that something wasn't right. Raquel's mother then told me she wanted to check with the other parents to see if they've heard from Carol. As the police arrived, I rushed outside, showing them my phone with the TikTok posts. But they brushed me off, saying it could be a joke or a prank by some psycho trying to scare people. I pleaded with the officers to investigate, but they just handed me a case number, saying they'd be in touch if they found anything. Feeling defeated, I sat on the couch, my thoughts racing as I prayed that this was all just some terrible misunderstanding. As I nervously paced the living room, another notification popped up on my phone. Part 6 had been posted. With my heart pounding, I clicked on it, praying for answers. This time, the video was only 10 seconds long. It showed the bus coming to a stop at a desolate-looking campground, surrounded by tall, ominous trees. The video ended with the camera zooming in on the 3 girls as they stood by the bus, looking around with terrified expressions. I could hear my daughter's voice saying, "Dad, where are you?" I always felt that something was off about one of my childhood friends. When I reflect on my childhood, my memories blend innocence with an eerie undercurrent. Growing up in a small town where everyone knew each other, my friends and I spent our days exploring the surrounding woods and fields. It was 15 summers ago when we met him. We will call him Bernard. The boys and I were inseparable. The 3 of us shared a world of adventure and secrets known only to us. One afternoon, while playing hide-and-seek in the woods behind a house, we found a boy we had never seen before. He was sitting on a fallen tree, staring at the ground. He looked our age, maybe a year or 2 older, with dark, tousled hair and piercing blue eyes. "Hey, who are you?" one of us asked. The boy looked up, his expression unreadable. "Bernard," he said softly. "I've never seen you around before," I said, stepping closer. "Do you go to our school?" Bernard shook his head. "Just moved here." "Cool, wanna play with us?" I asked. Bernard nodded, a small smile tugging at his lips. We welcomed him into our group, spending the rest of the day running through the woods, playing games, and climbing trees. Bernard was quiet, almost shy, yet something about him intrigued us. He moved with a strange grace, his eyes always watchful, as if constantly on guard. We would test Bernard's boundaries. We teased him, called him names, but Bernard never reacted as expected. He would simply stare with calm and composed expression. One day, one of us brought a disposable camera, one of those old ones where you had to develop the film. "Let's take a picture," he said, gathering us together. We huddled close, with Bernard standing slightly apart. It captured a moment in time, the four of us, smiling and carefree. That picture would later become a haunting reminder of what was to come. As summer progressed, Bernard became a regular part of our days. He never talked much about his family or where he lived, and whenever we asked, he would change the subject. But we didn't mind, we were just happy to have another friend. Then, one day, Bernard didn't show up. We waited in our usual spot in the woods, but he never came. The next day was the same, and the day after that. Weeks turned into months, and we never saw Bernard again. We assumed he had moved away as mysteriously as he had arrived. Life continued. Years passed, and our childhood adventures became distant memories. I joined the police force, driven by a desire to protect and serve. The job required me to face the darkest aspects of humanity, but it also gave me a sense of purpose. One rainy afternoon, while cleaning out my attic, I stumbled upon a box of old photos. Among them was the picture we had taken that summer. I stared at it, memories flooding back. There we were, captured in a moment of innocent joy. A strange feeling settled in my gut. Bernard's face seemed to stare back at me, his eyes more intense than I remembered. The next day, I took the photo to work, unable to shake the feeling that something was off. I showed it to a colleague who specialized in cold cases. Handing him the photo. "Do you recognize this kid?" I asked. He examined it closely, his brow furrowing. "Give me a second." He walked to his desk and sifted through files. After a few minutes, he pulled out a faded document and compared it to the photo. "This is Bernard," he said, his voice hushed. "Bernard Thompson. He went missing almost 30 years ago. It's one of our oldest cold cases." A chill ran down my spine. How could Bernard have been missing for 30 years when we met him only 15 years ago? It didn't make sense. Driven by a hunch, I decided to investigate further. I returned to the woods where we used to play, the place where we first met Bernard. The trees had grown thicker, the paths more overgrown, but it was still the same place. I walked deeper into the woods, my mind racing with possibilities. As I reached a small clearing, I noticed something half buried in the underbrush, a piece of fabric, tattered and weathered by time. I knelt down, my heart pounding, and began to dig. The earth was damp and heavy, but I kept at it, my hands trembling with a mix of fear and determination. Then, I saw it, a skeletal hand, fingers curled as if reaching for something. I unearthed the rest of the remains, my breath catching in my throat. There, in the shallow grave, lay the skeletal remains of a child, long forgotten and alone. I called for backup, my mind numb with shock. As we waited for the forensic team, I couldn't shake the feeling that Bernard was still watching me, his piercing blue eyes following my every move. The investigation confirmed what I already knew. The remains belonged to Bernard Thompson, a boy who had gone missing nearly 30 years ago. But the mystery of how he had appeared to us 15 years ago remained unsolved. I often think back to that summer, to the strange, quiet boy who appeared out of nowhere and then vanished just as suddenly. Bernard's ghost, or whatever he had been, left an indelible mark on our lives. We may never know the full truth of what happened, but I can't help feeling that Bernard was trying to tell us something. Perhaps his restless spirit sought companionship, a way to reach out and be remembered. Or maybe there are things in this world we simply cannot understand, forces beyond our comprehension that shape our destinies. Whatever the case, I know one thing for certain: some mysteries are meant to remain unsolved, lingering in the shadows of our past, forever haunting our memories. Subscribe.